Alrighty, hello everybody, welcome back. So, I have a list of small things that needs to be addressed. These are minor changes, minor additions. I want to take them off of the to-do list. And after those minor additions, maybe what we can do is remake the hands. It's going to be what we wrap up the day with. Okay, so first things first. The pry tool mechanic. I want to make it so that you move the mouse to advance the pry animation. That's technically already in, but then you have to listen to an audio cue and press left click to break open the door. If the cue is missed, it uses up one tool use. Okay, so if we take a look at the master node, we have a pry tool. Make sure it's pry tool. Amount is 1. Hey, Sultan, welcome back. So amount of the pry tool is 1. And I suppose that we're also going to have a crowbar, which is going to have 3 uses. Okay. Cool. Let me pop open Zapsplat and see if I can get some sort of a rusty sound. Okay. Okay, so we got rust. What does rust sound like? Let's see. No, that's impact. Hopefully that's not too loud. Metal impact. Box set down, hard ground, loose bits, movement inside. Maybe we'll have a visual cue, because I don't want to spend too much time looking for a sound, only to have it be replaced afterwards. Okay. So, let's take a look. I think the prying is here in the state machine of the player. We have pry insert. Hello. Pry sequence finish. And there's Steven. The gang's all here. Okay. So we've got state scripted prying. That's the state I'm looking for. There we go. More people. There you go. If state is scripted prying, then we seek based on something. Scripted event, animation seek time. Where the heck is this located? This is FPS animation process. Okay. It seems like we have a variable here, scripted animation seek time. And then I suppose this is probably from the input event, state scripted prying. Yep, relative y. So we take the movement of the mouse. Yep, and then we use it to advance the animation forward. Okay, well that's fair enough. But, big old but. Right now, the animation has a finite amount of time. Although it looks like it does have a piece of code here that makes it move backwards. So maybe what we can do... Okay, here we are. We've got a testing sandbox. I'm just going to observe it for a sec. I also wanted to see if I can make the handle... want to make the handle switch to like a bent version of the handle halfway through the prying. I think that might be good. Okay, makeshift pry tool, which is right here. Okay, so we insert, and then we start moving it, and then I stop, and then it doesn't do anything. So it's always advancing. I suppose that's just the speed. Okay. So that technically works. But what do we want to do? If we want to make this gamified, we got to turn this into a loop, the prying loop. So it just plays over and over repeatedly. And then there's a separate timekeeping component that increases. And then there's going to be a 1 second window where you have to what, left click? Do we have to keep holding the left click to interact with this thing? I don't think so. There we go. Insert. No, okay. All right, so that's fine. Let's pop open Blender. Let's see about turning that animation into a loop. Let's take a look at pry insert. Howdy. Pry insert, pry sequence. There we go. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, I fear we're gonna see disconnects today because for some reason the internet's not exactly super stable. Okay, let's drop it here, 170. Perfect. So okay, yeah, that works as a seamless loop. Rodok, good day. Nice. All right, perfect. So we're gonna re-export this. There was also a bit of a question with some loop animations not being seamless. That's because we need to switch our export rule to use NLA editor tracks rather than actions, because then we can trim the NLA editor tracks just by a little bit and get the animation loop to actually be perfect. The Godot editor is also available on Android. Yes, and also apparently from web browser too, which is kind of nuts. Okay, let me export. We don't need the cabinet to be bundled with the hands. Gultuf. There we go. Tretail, engine. Oh yes, before we can do that, pry sequence loop. We need to make sure that there's a word loop at the end of it so that it actually interprets it as a looping animation. Hand GLB. Okay. Tretail, engine, models, player, hand rig, and then Godot export, and bam. I said bam. Or I guess we gotta give it a second. Please don't break anything. Hey, okay. Oh no, still thinking. Still thinking. What is some of the stuff that we need to do today? We need to get this prime mechanic revamped so that there's a timed event. Instead of just moving the mouse, you have to wait for a cue and have it pry open the cabinet on cue. Otherwise, you miss and break the tool. Um, there's also finish adding the ladder to the chapel upper levels so the player can get up there. That's good. Fix wrist twist, which is going to be fixed when we redo the hands. Just going to put that as a note. Okay, so hypothetically right now, we should see that the prying is going to be continuous. Okay. Oh, okay. Not continuous. Interesting. Try sequence. Okay, so it didn't mark it as a loop, which is a little sketchy. Okay, let's try exporting again. Although technically when I switched back to Godot, I didn't see a loading bar. So I think it just didn't catch on to the changes. Okay. Man, how much data do you have to write? It's like a couple of animations. I gotta figure out how to keep animations separate from the actual rig file. I think that would be useful because then I can just export certain animations separately and add them up. Okay, come on. Detect the new stuff. You can do it. Nope. Hmm. Okay, I guess we're back to having to restart Godot for it to scan the new animation changes. Thought we were past that. How do we get to the point in our society where the prevalence of the seven deadly sins is just abominably widespread? From sloth to lust to what is it? That's not a major one. Okay, let's see if this works. Nope, it did not. It did not detect it. Okay, do we have to... That's not even the right animation. Let's go back to models, player, hand rig. They should really include the date of the file in the preview, so we know if this is the latest version of the file. Okay, let's see. We have pry sequence. It knows that it's looped in here. Okay. So what gives? Why is it not looped in here? Can I do this? And will it remember? We did tell it to save to physical file. I think we did. Let's see. Okay, well now it's just doing whatever the heck it wants. There's a function, break open priable object, which we shouldn't have here anymore. Oh, maybe that's why I didn't interpret it as a looped animation. Maybe it's because I had it saved. No, we had oh, because the name has changed. I think maybe when you save the animation as a file so that you can add additional tracks to it, if the name of the animation changes, it becomes maybe confused. Because if it sees the word loop at the end of the animation name, it has to remove it. So the animation name is still going to be pry sequence, but there's already an animation like that here. So maybe it gets confused on that front. Okay, well, let's see. We removed the prying. That's good. And let me close. Open up the player. Okay, it did remember that it's a looping animation. That's good. And then it looks like it seamlessly rolls back in. Cool. All right, so what do we do next? Next, when we're in the middle of the prying animation, which right now should be seamless and continuous, when we start prying, we need to generate a number, I think, between 5 seconds and 7 seconds. And then it's cool. So when we start, we need to generate a number. Okay. We need to generate a number. Pry time. Prying object. Prying object. Cool. Should probably move this FPS animation player. Okay, maybe not. I thought there was another variable that I can put this right next to it. Okay, so pry time. Set it to 0.0. Actually, this is going to be in milliseconds. Okay. Uh, okay, so this is where scripted prying start. Now, where does it go into scripted prying? State checks if it's equals to scripted prying. Pry insert. Okay. So we're gonna make pry time equals time dot get ticks msec. Record. Actually, no. I don't think we want to store the current time. I mean, if we want to make it be based in seconds, we could. But maybe we'll just base it on some number. If you know the delta time between the frame renderings, how do you extrapolate seconds based on delta? That's a curious question. So you would, instead of using seconds or milliseconds or ticks, you would use delta to subtract from some sort of a timekeeping variable, and you want to make sure that it's accurate. Okay, might have to look into that later. So let's do this. Let's say randf range, and this is going to be, well, Actually, maybe we do want to base it on time. So we're going to record the current time in milliseconds. Okay. But this is pry time start. Because we also want to randomize how many milliseconds we have to wait. So we're going to do here var pry time and pry time start. Okay. That's good. So pry time start is the current time. And then pry time is anyway between 5 and 7 seconds. Wouldn't it be just easier to use a timer node? All these variables. And then we just tell the timer node to count. Man, why don't I just do that? Why am I making my life so difficult? Seriously. Yes, I could do it using this, but whatever. Pry timer. Pry timer is going to be a one-shot. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That actually solves a whole bunch of problems because then we can have a timeout. And if the timeout is hit, that means we missed our chance. We broke the tool. Break one use from the pry tool. Yeah, we're gonna put a pass in here for now. And then let's get back up. Scripted prying start, except we want this to be scripted prying. Yes. Okay. So we will tell this to start, and then we're gonna tell it to start between, what's that, 3.5 and 7 seconds? 7 seconds is quite a lot, though. Let's do 5.5. So within the last second of this timer, that's when we actually have to perform a left click to pry it open. Okay, that's cool. So here's when we're actually prying it. We're going to say if time left is less or equals to 1.0, then if input is action just pressed, left mouse, we can do break open pryable object. Look at that. Vishal. Hey, hey. Welcome back. Okay, and then we also need to stop the timer because we don't want it to run out and break our tool. Stop. There we go. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, what do we gotta do now? Well, I think when we pry something open, we still use one of the item, one use case. So let's make a function. Let's see, we gotta remember this. 545, that's the line of code we're on. Okay, Let's make a function called use up pry tool. Okay. So what do we need to do? First, we need to verify the currently equipped tool. So if inventory has selected something something inventory slot or hotbar. Hotbar selected slot. Okay. So if the inventory has an item and if inventory okay, no suggestions for me, I suppose. Inventory hotbar selected slot is ID. We're gonna check if it's a series of tools, because besides the makeshift prying tool, we're also gonna have a crowbar, which has a few more uses in it. Let's go to master node. Okay, so makeshift pry tool has the ID of makeshift underscore pry underscore tool, and then what else do we need? Crowbar. No crowbar yet. Okay. Turnaken. There we go. Makeshift pry tool. I'm gonna copy this real quick. Crowbar, ID, crowbar. Crowbar is one word, right? I think so. Okay. We're gonna keep amount to 3. Max amount is 3. And that's cool. Okay. I made a little bit of interesting progress on the side note. I started messing around with C++ programming because I need to put together an application that can send video frame information to a hardware helmet with LEDs on it, and the LEDs have to display the animation. So that requires very fast processing, so I figured I should go with C++. I actually figured out how to build and include a downloaded library, which most of the projects on C++ will have you use some sort of a library that makes it easier for you to work. I figured out how to do that thanks to the C++ Discord server with some very helpful folks who guided me through the process. Now that I know how to do that, it may be a good idea to revisit the Ultra Leap Motion hand tracking camera. You can get it for about 120 bucks or Canadian off of Mauser or other places. And that camera does hand tracking, and then you can get the information from the hand tracking API and attempt to transfer it to Blender. So that might actually be possible now, because I could never set up the Python Python version of the API because the mappings were all broken, and somebody made the mappings, but you had to build it. I had no idea how to do that, so it was kind of a mess. But now that I know how to do that, it might be a good idea to maybe give it a go. Okay, I don't think we can use in here. We have to use has, or maybe we can use in. Who knows? Cool. So if the makeshift pry tool or crowbar happen to be in the ID of the item, then it means that we've used up 1 amount minus equals 1, and then if do we have something in the master node for taking away one of the items? Clear, destroy enemy, ready, physics process. Nope. Okay, what about here? Find mouse, play, destroy held item. Destroy held item might be handy. Toggle equipped object. I guess not. I guess we can just check if the amount is less or equals to 0. And if it is, destroy held item. Am I gonna DJ wearing that mask? Yes. It's the whole point. It's kind of like a Deadmau5, Daft Punk type inspirational project. Okay, so we got destroy held item. Now, we will need to make use of this also when the timer runs out and we miss our chance. Okay. Okay, we are starting to run out of vertical space here. Makeshift pry tool. Ooh. Okay, so move the mouse. And then this one only has one use. Oh, beautiful. Lovely. Right. So we don't have an exit for it. That's why. And we also didn't have a physical cue. You know what? I need a test tone. A very quick test tone with which to do these sort of cues. Okay, let's get to the prying. Scripted prying. Because we need to go to the finish. I think play pry sequence finish. Prying object, pry open. No, that's not going to get executed. Break open, pryable, and then we go into the finish state. Yes, okay. Got it. Okay, so right down here, use up the pry tool, and then we go to the finish. We might have to have a separate animation for this. What's ND tools? What is that plugin? Actually, there's no point in running this right now because I also need to do the same thing. Let's see. Right here. Oh no, that's when we actually click it. And if the timer runs out, then it stops it. And then break open pryable object already has the code for moving us back into the other state. Okay. Where is it? Makeshift. Pry tool. Come on. Okay. Nice. Okay. Now that didn't really destroy the item. Interesting. Okay. You know what? That is actually useful. That is actually useful. Because we can make it destroy the held item, but that doesn't destroy the inventory item. Oh yeah, there we go. There's destroy held item and inventory data. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say else. So if the amount of tool is left less than 0, that means we have used up the entire tool, held item and inventory data. So it's going to remove the item from our hand and destroy the inventory data for that item as well. Otherwise, we're just going to destroy it, which will cause the player to take it back out again, play the takeout animation. Okay, that works. That works for me. And then we need the test tone. Okay, let me just do a quick thing here. I need an instrument track. What do we got? Hybrid. Sure. I just need like a sine wave or sawtooth or something. Okay. Okay, that's cool and all. Nope, that's not what I need. Yes. Yeah, that's good. All right, let's get this rendered. Wave is perfectly fine because OGG and MP3 tends to insert silence in the beginning, so I can't make it loop infinitely. Where are we doing this? Let's put it right in the engine. Audio. I'm not really making the script more generic. No, I'm making it so that the player has to actually listen for an audio cue and then press a button to execute a prying, successful prying attempt, or miss out and then break the tool. So it's a little extra on top. So it's not just move the mouse and that's it. Test tone, wave, render one file. Oh, hey, what's with the silence? Come on now. Is that actually there? Oh, actually, it might be. It might be because... Yeah, what the... Huh? It might be because the audio driver is the stupid one. Let's do a show. And then... Nope, don't have that interface connected. Never mind. Try this. Shh, maybe. Okay. Let's give that a test again. Override. What the heck is this? Hold on. Oh, entire project. Time selection. There we go. That's more like it. Cool. Go away. I'm trusting that it is the complete file. There's the file. Okay, and then we're going to go to pry. What is it? What is it a part of? Technically, The whole mechanic is in the player, so we should just probably place it in the player. Heal sound effect. Okay. Audio stream player 3D. And this is pry prompt sound effect. We can always just position it at the pryable object. Oh, yes. And then I just want it to loop, which apparently we don't get a dedicated panel for setting that up. Loop forward. Yes. Prompt, pry prompt SFX. Cool. So let's get to the prying. Script prying. Right here. So when we reach under 1 second, this will start. So it's a temporary sound for the time being, but the player is there, so we'll just replace the sound, and that should be good. Now we need to stop it. Get some help. How do we stop it? Where do we stop it? We have here when we finish. We could do this here. I think we enter this state both when we fail and when we succeed. Break open probable object. Yep, I think so. Cool. Let's give that a test. I need to test it with the crowbar as well, because I think the crowbar doesn't use all of these mechanics. Oh, well, it died. It died with honor. Non-existent function start, because it is play, not start. Oh, that's crowbar. I guess we'll test it now. Beautiful. I love it. We gotta smoke out this crowbar over here. Alright, let's do the makeshift pry tool right now. Oh boy. Well, I heard that. That sounded really cool though. That sounded like a data transmission tone. Maybe like a satellite data transmission tone. Whew. Man, I still find Easter eggs from Portal 2 to be so or Portal 2? I think Portal 2. So gosh darn impressive. When they placed a bunch of images into a software that uses satellite data transmission algorithm to transfer images through audio. And then they played that audio on the little radio prop if you put it in the right place in the level. And if you recorded that and then used the same algorithm to transcode it back to the image, you got a bunch of Easter eggs. And foreshadowing. Okay, so we can say if we need to check if it's stopped. Play, seek, stop, playing. If not playing, then play. Start the audio Q to pry open. Okay, so that was the Q, and we lost the tool. Okay, so let's go make sure pry tool. Interesting. We died. Make sure pry tool. Set in game view. Attempt to call function set in game view on base null instance null instance. I think what might have happened is our code that gives us the item doesn't actually duplicate the item. It just transfers it from the master node to the player's inventory. So if we destroy it in the player's inventory, it also gets destroyed in the master node. I've been down this road before. I think that might be the most obvious culprit. Let's see. Okay, so I believe we had exported the panel into DevTools. Okay. ItemDB. We have the ready, spawn item button, add backpack item. No, we duplicated. Add to backpack button. Now, it's explicitly talking about a node being missing. Held item node. Item held node. Maybe when we destroy the item we're holding, we're not making... Yep, I think we're not making the variable be null. Because if it's not null, it will still try to talk to it. And thus destroy it. Okay, so it wasn't the dictionary thing. At least hopefully we're going to see in a moment. Okay, that breaks it. And then it still crashes. Item held node. Invalid not existent function get child count on base nil. Right. Shouldn't we be checking if it's not null and if nothing... Oh, if not holding anything. So if it is null, or... Wait a minute. No, it's not. Item held node is not the item we're holding. We're not supposed to set it to null. Item held node is quite literally a physical node, 3D node. Yeah, that's a permanent object. We're not supposed to be making this to null. Okay, back to the original issue, I guess. Let's get back to not having it be set to null. It's not supposed to. Let's figure out what the issue actually is. Back in a moment again. Tools and pad in the pan. Make sure pry tool. Yes. Take it out. Okay. Well, it doesn't crash. And then when we equip it, it actually does crash. Okay, what do we have here? I don't remember us pressing the left mouse button. Hmm. Object interactions. Okay, this is curious. Actually, yeah, we did press the left mouse button in order to get an item. Hmm. Let's add a little bit of a check here. And get child count is more than 0. Cool. I think we just got to give it a couple of frames to generate the item. We also have to do something about when we're switching hotbar items rapidly. You can see the item get destroyed from the hand immediately. That might be a bit trickier. Makeshift pry tool. Okay. Makeshift pry tool. There we go. Nice. Okay, so that works. Perfect. So that's an audio cue. Should we have a pop-up? Something that I noticed is that a lot of the latest games tend to do visual cues and audio cues together, because of accessibility. If you're hearing impaired, you can still see the visual cue that tells you what to do. Older games, I find that some developers choose to say it's visual cues are not there, you just have to listen to it. So, and I think that's for immersion. Now, if I am putting visual cues as well, we could say that they're disabled by default, but then when the game starts, the visual cues are opt-in. You can click on it to enable it. Okay, we'll address that later. But other than that, this seems like it works. Now, okay, so that's pry tool mechanic done, revamped. What else do we need? We do have the whole issue of the hands kind of showing the item getting destroyed when we switch the hotbars. Hotbar select. And then this is played from within here. Hotbar select. Okay, and then we're gonna have a piece of code. Have you looked at Obsidian? I don't remember what that is. Obsidian note-taking. Note-taking tool. It's like documentation tool? I think you showed me that. But yeah, I don't really have any particular need for a tool like that at the moment. So I haven't really had a need to look into it. Okay, this is where we advance the slots. But where does it compare so that it can destroy the currently held item and then take out the new one. Oh yes, I think I also remembered. Throwing held objects. It's going to be an important one. It's a whole ass game mechanic just waiting to be implemented. Okay. I don't see... No, actually it's right here. So, detective the selected slot item has changed. Selected item data, not the same as the current item. So it's either going to get the data or give us null. Or we're not holding anything. Then selected item data is going to become the current data. Once you go to note-taking project management, for now it's just Trello and whatever Google Docs has. I try not to introduce too much like software unnecessarily. If selected item slot is not the same as the current item. So this is where we go through, we destroy all the items. So we need to somehow delay this. We need to make this piece of code. Right, we need to make this piece of code wait until we have put the item away. And only then it is going to be allowed to run this. So let's try first play the put away animation. So if let's do if we need to talk to the animation player that is responsible for playing our takeout animations. So that would be this guy. If it is busy playing, return. Let's try that, just for starters. This should at least force it to wait until the takeout is done. Oh, or not. Guess that breaks it entirely. Okay. Interesting. What the hell was it in the middle of playing? The idle animation, probably. Okay, so what if we say if it's playing and assigned or current animation. Current animation. We don't want to base it on any particular animation, so we're going to say take out. The word takeout is found in the animation. Item underscore takeout. Let's do that. So we're going to say if the current animation begins with item takeout. Begins with is a string command. That's good. Okay. So if it's playing and what it is playing is a takeout animation, then return. Let's give that a test. Okay. There we go. So you can see it waits for the animation to finish before doing that. Now, the animation for item takeout flashlight, for example. Okay. That's the end frame. Let's go to pose mode. We have our summary frame. Let's say we're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to call it item put away. Okay, and then I'm pretty sure I'm just going to do this. Location rotation. Just position it here. Location rotation. And then just do that. So it's just going to be a nice, simple thing. The stream keeps buffering. I think, yeah, my streaming computer seems to be disconnecting from the internet momentarily once in a while. I'm not sure what's happening. I think maybe the Ethernet cord is a little messy. Okay. So that should be good. No problem here. Well, that's interesting. So Vishal doesn't have an issue. Okay, I'm just going to do it like this. All right. Item put away is already there. What? Did I duplicate it twice? Item takeout, flashlight, flashbang. Yeah, what the heck? I guess we'll just take this. That's just the flashlight animation again. Let me double check. Flashlight. Oh. Yeah, no, that's fine. Put away. Get rid of it. And then put away one. Delete. And then this is the actual put away. Protect. Okay. I think it might have been added to the NLA editor by the looks of it. Yes, it did. Go away. Connecting, disconnecting. Discord, I mean OBS, excuse me. Let's do GLTF. Assets, models, not assets. Engine, models, player, Godot, and export. Yeah, so if it's buffering, Vishal over there with his fancy Indian internet, the IT center of the world. Okay, well, never mind. Yeah. I think it's an issue on my end. My computer, the streaming computer, seems to be disconnecting from the internet once in a while. I don't know why. Maybe old ass Ethernet cables. I've had this issue before. Okay. Okay, there we go. Seems like you've infected the internet connection. No, right? You and your filthy European internet. Okay. It's okay. I will soon enough join. Let's see. So now that we have the put away, we can tell it Hello, I'm calling from Microsoft. My name is Steve. Do not redeem. Um, what do we do? So when it doesn't match, if the we have assigned animation, which is the last animation played, does not equals put away, then we're going to tell it to play put away. Item put away, excuse me. Mm-hmm. Careful what you say before moving to Europe. Oh, is this the death threat stage of my career? Okay. So it still breaks it, but I think that's because we need to return. And we can also say that it has to continue returning if it is playing and it is item put away. During the time you lived in the UK. That's I think that's going to be a one big benefit. Nobody in the scam call department is going to be calling fucking Belarus. It's like those motherfuckers don't have any money. There's nobody to scam. Hell, we're likely to get scammed ourselves if we call anyone there. Copper wire. Right. Now it doesn't work at all. Beautiful. Okay. If the assigned animation is not item put away, if it's not item put away, we play item put away. And then if it is playing and the current animation is item put away, then we return. Beautiful. Okay. Is that the actual name of the animation? Or did I goof it up again? Item underscore put away. Okay. Assigned animation is the last animation that was told by it to play. Would we hate you if you told us you worked in one of those call centers? Well, let's ask the next question. Were you successful? Okay. Item put away. Assigned animation is not item put away. We tell it to play item put away. And then, if it is playing, and the current animation is item put away, we return. Return out of this code. Now, it could be that it ends up getting picked up by all this. What if it does spawn in the item, and then it does this? Oh, I suppose maybe that's because it is going to continuously run this because we never actually make the current item be the new item. Maybe that's what that is. Nope. Interesting. Okay, so I think it's got to be this one. Okay, yeah, so that's what's causing it to not run. Okay. If the assigned animation is not item put away, what stops us from just running all the time? Well, the condition, technically. And then if... Wait, are there actually frames there? Hold on a sec. Or did I goof it up? Item put away. Yes, there are frames here. We tell it to play. And then if it is playing, and maybe we got to check assigned animation. And the assigned animation is item put away, return. That should technically do it until it stops. What the heck? Detective selected slot has changed. So I think what might be happening is that it just keeps getting re-triggered. Just keeps playing the same thing over and over and over again. Print. Let's see if that's the case. Yup. There it is. Just continuously playing item put away. Assigned animation equals I suppose this does have to take place after, because first it doesn't match. If it doesn't match, which this is going to run on a loop again, it's going to say, we got a return here as well, perhaps. Oops. Hmm. Rotation helper, hands rig, animation player, assigned animation not equals item put away. Okay, that verifies this has not been assigned yet. It tells it to play item put away and then return to prevent the rest of the code from running, which should have been caught by this, but apparently not. Unless something else is playing, like setting it to idle. That could actually be it. It could be that we're just constantly being set to idle. If the state is general, sprinting, and then idle. If not holding anything. Which makes sense, because in the beginning we are not holding anything. Let's double check that we're not playing put away. So if it's not idle, we do this. If not, the name of the animation in array containing idle and containing item put away. Then we play idle. Okay. Current animation ends up getting cleared. So maybe assigned animation? Assigned animation persists. Okay, there we go. It still spawns the item right away. But at least we can probably go back to the inventory code and bypass the rest of it. I keep looking for function names in the script list. Let's see. Inventory process. Okay, here we go. So, this is the destruction code. We need to prevent this. So, if it is playing and assigned animation is item put away, return. That rule is already here. Okay, we return out of here. And then we have this piece of code. What does this do? Smoothly translate the destination rotation. That's not it. Inventory open. If this item can be close inspectable. Okay, this is for inspecting. Okay, so right here, prevent spawning item the scripted animation is playing. This is nested right before this return code, which should have prevented it from running. It could potentially be that between this stage and this stage, it does slip through for a single frame. So what if we say if current animation is item put away? Because that kind of tells us that it's current and it is being played at the moment. Which honestly, that right there is pretty much all that we need in that case, if we change it to current. Okay, hold on a sec. Oh. Interesting. I mean, technically it works. We just need to blend it in a little bit. It just flips it. To be honest, that looks kind of funny. It works. We could probably have it have a custom put away animation. Hey, at least we're not doing Resident Evil Village, where if you toggle between your hotbar items, you actually see two pair of hands on the screen at the same time. Which, hey, you know what? If a AAA studio can get away with shit like that, I don't see why, an indie developer can't just have a separate set of hands for every item. And I'm not kidding. If you've not seen that before, it's funny as shit. Somebody just like toggled between a shotgun and a rifle or something, and then there's quite literally like General Grievous amount of hands just from the left and right side of the screen. Hello there. Okay, so this works. What the shit was that? I was like, I salute you. What? What? What do we... Oh. Okay. Now that's curious. Item... This happens when we walk, because that's when a walk animation gets played. Item put away. But that means that when we put the item away, it doesn't actually update itself. So maybe we do have to keep it here. Or, at least... Maybe not. Let's just double check this. Because it keeps getting re-triggered. I'm not sure about that one. Well, that solved that problem, but the item doesn't go away. And that kind of makes sense because there's no reason for this code to run after this takes place. Current item will return null. So if the current item data is not null, it will run this. Then for as long as it's running this, it will run that. Can we just get away with this? Just have one command. And then after that, we do this, which makes... Oh. It's either this or we have 0 children. Check if the held item is no longer same. This might be a problem. Because if we don't have anything, then it's just going to keep running this. So we could do this. If the item data does not match, be it doesn't have the same item or it's null, or if it is null and we have something, then we let this run, then it updates, then it deletes. Okay, that might work. Well, that breaks that code. We could say if it's not null, because I think that's what this was supposed to check. If it's not null, but we are holding nothing, or no, we're holding something. This detects if the item has changed. This detects if we're holding something, but nothing's in the hand. So I guess we also need another condition. Or if there is nothing, and if it's not null, but we have nothing, or if it is null and we have something, in which case it just needs to go through this. Yeah, no, that breaks the whole thing. So current item is not null. If it's not null, there's something there, but we are holding nothing. Or if the current item is something, and we are, if it's nothing and we are holding something. Whew, okay. It says playing item put away returning every time I switch, but it doesn't stay that way. So something happens with the current animation. Current animation, if it's not equals to item put away, we tell it to play item put away. Maybe because we're fading into it means that the current animation isn't actually. Let's do this. Is playing and assigned animation is item put away. It's not item put away, then play. Now we could solve this by having a separate state. Yeah, this shit's broken as heck. Can we make a separate state? We kind of have a generic state for anything and everything that the player can do. Let me see if the player displays the currently assigned animation of the animation player in the debugger already. FPS anim idle. Item takeout generic. Okay, so it goes straight for item takeout. Is it because of the blend? Or is it not because of the blend? I see it switch for a brief moment. It might not even be picked up by OBS. But for a very brief moment, I do see it switching to what I assume is item put away. And we do see the playing item put away returning. Oh, well that makes sense. Because if it's not item put away, it plays item put away, and this return never gets to be executed. So we actually have to have two separate if statements here. Okay, so if current animation is item put away, return. Okay, we can play that animation at accelerated rate so that it doesn't take up too much space. So it's still there. Right. Current animation. And then this is where we have to do assigned animation like we did before. Okay. Beautiful. You know, this is not really robust enough. Selected item slot data is used Looks like a bunch of times. But maybe that's not a good enough method of detecting. Selected item slot data not equals null. Here we use the ID of the selected item. Destroy held item. Selected item slot. Okay, so I think this variable might be introducing a bit too much complexity. We have the ability to access the held item and its data if we need to. And if it isn't there, then we know that it's not there because held item node contains 0 children. So I think we can make away with this variable and just work with the item data directly. Selected item data. Right. I think this is the only place where we actually depend on the selected item data outside of the equipping code. Okay, set to null, set to null. Okay. Now, we could base this off of the inventory, or we could base this off of the held item. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna push this real quick so that I have a way back. It's kind of a big addition. This is Dreadtail. Okay, what do we did? Added prying prompt mechanic. Just gonna quickly push this out. Okay. And away you go. We don't need to set it to null. Don't need to set it to null. Here, we'll return to that. Current item. And then selected item slot. Okay, so we can just check the inventory. If the inventory has hotbar selected slot, and then we're going to access the inventory, we shall access the item by the slot number and check if its ID is map. Now, here, we get the current item or null. So, if what? This is simply to check if the item has changed. If the current item does not match there's multiple conditions. The item is the same, but it's a different slot. So not the same item, but the data is the same. So we can't use inventory slots or hotbar slots to check if the item has changed. Okay, so let's say if the item held node has an item and that held node item data does not match the current item. Is this what code refactoring is? Yeah. Try to improve the system and then getting rid of excess unnecessary variables. Okay, now that's not the only thing that could happen. What else could happen is we could use up an item, so it has to know that we've used it up, which means current item is null and we have something held. Let's actually do the simple ones first. So the current item is nothing, and we're holding something. And we can also say, or actually, not and, current item is not null, and item held node get child count is 0. So there's something in the inventory. We are holding, or there's nothing in the inventory. We're holding something. There's something in the inventory. We're holding nothing. And, so or, another condition, or the item that we're holding does not match. Now, how do we know that? Well, curiously enough, that was actually the purpose of that variable, item held data, because it was holding a reference to a dictionary. And then if the reference doesn't match, that means we're looking at a different dictionary. So was that whole thing a mistake? Okay. We could hypothetically have hotbar slot and then hotbar slot old. Which will detect if we have switched the hotbar slot. Now, in the end, we've taken away one variable, we replaced it with another. So it's not exactly an improvement. Okay. So we'll do or hotbar slot old, not the same as hotbar slot. And then we do this. And then we don't need to copy the item data. Absolutely no idea if this is actually going to be any more effective than it was before. But okay. Now, why did this stop working? Do we need this? Probably. maybe current animation doesn't get the value set until the next frame, so we have to return, bypass everything, and only in the next process cycle it's gonna set the current animation. Well, actually, hold on. Maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe it's because there's no blending, so the item just rotates. It's not actually spawning a new item, it's just rotating. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Okay. Now, it's not super clean. Oh boy. Interesting. If I quickly switch back to the same item I held, it doesn't actually take it out. Hmm. Okay. That's curious. Now this whole system is supposed to be active. It just actively checks for the player if they have switched the item, and then if they have switched the item, they would go through this routine. The problem is that it runs all the time, and I am kind of starting to think that it might be better to make this event-based. So when you switch the hotbar item, when you break an item, when you use the item, all those events would cause this routine to take place. Okay, what's happening here? Delete the item. If the current item is not null, and the state is general, we equip the item. This might become a problem. And then this is interaction with the item. Okay, this is rotating, not applicable anymore because we have a hand rig that does all that stuff. Scale, sure. Okay, let's try it. I'm gonna take this, all of that code. We're gonna do func switch held item. Cool. What is switch held item going to do? Well, it's no longer event-based, so we don't need to check for these things. It is going to play item put away first. And then when it's done, we're going to have it equip the item. Delete and then equip. Okay, so switch held item. And then func. Maybe we can have it be more literal. We can say put away held item. So it's going to tell the player to play put away. We don't need this here. And then here we'll have a function take out item. Take out held item. Okay, so we have the animation player here. We know that it has a signal for animation finished. If item put away is in animation name, then we tell it to take out held item. Take out held item. I think that's basically it. Now we need to do play put away held item. Well, the most obvious parts would be when we switch the hotbar slots back and forth. Which is right here. So we'll do this. We crashed. Let's figure it out. Get on null. Item held node get child 0. It's expecting for something to be there. What code is this? Close inspectable. Right. Item held node. This does not quite correlate to this yet. Okay, so we have to do if item held node get child count is more than 0, and we try to get the close inspectable. It's not null. Okay, I think that should be good. Yeah, see, this is the sort of stuff that becomes a hassle when you start adding things like additional intermediate animations, like putting things away, because now you have to wait for all that stuff to finish before you can do your checks. But if we're starting a new project and we account for that right away, then that shouldn't be such a big problem. Okay. So let's do this. Well, it works. We'll have to do something about the flashlight. Okay, now I'm pretty sure there's going to be edge case scenarios where this doesn't quite work. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like we've already accounted for... Oh, okay, that was curious. I wasn't even... Huh. What? Ah, interesting. I discovered a bug. When we start prying, the prying, the timer for prying seems to just roll without our say-so. And that is a bit of an issue because we don't have to move the mouse anymore. And that is why we can't use a timer. We can't use a timer node for this. We have to do some manual timekeeping. All right, pry timer. Okay, that is fascinating. Well, now we know. Let's go up here. Prying object. So we're gonna have to do manual timing. Prying start time 0. Prying random duration. Okay. Prying start time, prying random duration. Cool. Pry timer. Yeah, okay. So we have to scrub this thing out of here. This we'll have to bring somewhere else. This is where we started. Okay, so pry. Have you tried using create timer? And then just use the await timer timeout. The problem, I haven't used that. I have created tweens using code. I haven't created timers using code. The await system seems interesting, but I don't want it to block all the code. And not only that, the problem is that the timer uh, starts counting regardless if the player is moving the mouse or not. So either I have to put in the piece of code that pauses the timer if the player doesn't move the mouse and then lets it go again when they do move the mouse, or I just do manual timekeeping, and then it just advance the time until using the relative mouse speed. There's a physical node, it's a one-off. That's what I had right now, except it was quite literally like a physical node that I created. So price start time. I guess we'll just wing it. Let's do rand f. Yeah, let's just do this. Copy this. It's not going to be actually 3.5 to 5.5 seconds, but it will have to do. Okay. Now, I'm going to cut this out. And then here, and then what do? Well, I'm going to leave this here for just a sec. As we are advancing, wait a minute. I don't need pry start time then, if I'm not actually using a time. Because once again, it's not really supposed to be based on time. So we don't need start time. We just need random duration. Okay, yes. There we go. Random duration is set to anywhere between 3.5 to 5.5. And then as we are doing the prying, scripted prying. Okay, so as we are doing the prying, we're going to subtract. Subtract what? We can do this times delta. And then just for good measure, I'm going to print what the heck this is. Okay. Now, if this value is less than 1.0, Then we play the sound, and then if the left button is pressed, we tell it to do this. Now, if we've reached the end of it, so we do if this is less than 0.0, less or equals to 0.0, then we missed it. We use up a tool, play the break, set the state to finish, and that's it. Now, I feel like we should probably handle the fault before this, and then return. If counter reached 0, if prying counter reached 0, use the pry tool. Pry tool is used, play the break, go to the state, return, so the rest of it doesn't run. If we are within 1 unit, not really second, but 1 unit, then play the sound. I think that should be it. Okay. Fascinating. Where's the takeout? There we go. Ooh, that was fast. That was super fast. Yeah. So we'll need to really multiply this. Scripted animation seeking time. Yeah, that might be. This is the speed. So the faster I move the mouse, the larger this becomes. We do clamp it between 0 and 100, so it cannot be faster than 100. So if somebody literally yeets their mouse out the window, it shouldn't affect that. Let's get back down. And it also gets multiplied by delta, so that should slow it down significantly. Makeshift pry tool. Okay. Pry timer stop. Since we deleted the pry timer, nothing to stop, so let's take this out. Uh-huh. And now we have an issue. Interesting. There we go. Okay. And then if we do the same thing, but we miss the cue. Come to think of it, I think it's perfectly fine to just leave the audio node exactly where it is. Okay. And then we broke the tool, but the thing is still closed. That seems to be pretty good. And the randomness still works. I think we've dialed in the value pretty well. Cool. All right, perfect. So that works. I think there's still a few kinks about the item switching, because the item switching right now could be technically overwritten by, I don't know, the walk cycle, crouch cycle, because it would play a different animation. So we'll figure it out. That's fine. Cool. So that's 2 hours to get the new item takeout and put away, and the revamp for the prying mechanic. I'm gonna take a break. Let's see. How long do I have to take a break for? How long am I gonna have? Hmm. Probably about like 10 minutes, and then I'll be back. Because I wanna knock off a bunch of other small stuff. So cool. We'll be back. 10 minutes. I promise.